Hi everybody, it's time to solve equations. Now we're going to take some time here and go through a few slides and talk about the different ways that we can use to solve equations. We're going to use addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, and we're going to do some example problems just so that when you get out there and you work on your own, that you have a good idea of what you're doing when you're solving equations. Sometimes when we are working with equations, we are given a value for the variable and we're asked to test for the correct solution to see if that value for that variable is indeed actually true. We call that substitution. And when we substitute for a variable, and I'm going to put it here so that you can put it in your notes, substitution, we're actually going to put that variable into that equation and see if it truly does work in that equation. Because the whole idea of equations is that one side has to be equal to the other side. So if we substitute 3 in for n, we have 3 plus 4 equals 7. That's substituting 3 for n. Well, 3 plus 4 is indeed 7, and we're matching it to the other side, which is also 7. So yes, this 3 does work as the solution for this equation. So we would say yes, n is 3. Now, looking at the equation at the bottom of the page, we have to look and see if n could be 14. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to use substitution, and we're going to see if it works. So we have 14 plus 3 equals 22, because we're substituting that 14 in for n. 14 plus 3 today, I think that's 17, equal 22. Now, is that true? No, I really don't think so. I don't think that is true. So, I'm sorry, but this is no. N cannot be 14. Now, one of the things that we're asked to do with equations is we will be given a variable and we'll be asked to solve for that variable. And there's many different ways to do that, but the first thing we're going to actually explore is solving for a variable by using either addition or subtraction. And we're basically undoing what the equation has started out to do so that we can get to the point where we can find out the missing number. So this very first at the top of the page has m plus 12 equals 33. We do not know what m is. Now, by logic in our heads, we can probably figure it out, but we want to start practicing solving simple equations so that later on when we have more difficult ones we can't figure out in our heads, that we know how to go about solving them. So I'm going to write this. I'm going to rewrite it here. This says m plus 12 equals 33. Now, they added 12 to get 33, so kind of our goal is to try to get m by itself. So we've got to get rid of this 12. Well, if they added 12, we're just going to do the opposite, which is to, subtract 12. So we're going to minus 12 here and minus 12 here. This 12 goes away. We are left with m on the left, so m equal. And then I'm going to do my math over here, 33 minus 12, 1, 2, the answer is 21. Now, is it positive or negative? Well, the 12 was the negative, the 33 was the positive, so therefore your answer is a positive 21. Now, the problem below on the bottom is similar, except for the fact that we have subtraction involved instead of addition. So it says, what's the value of n if n minus 13 equals a negative 8? Well, when they originally wrote this problem, they wrote it n minus 13 equals negative 8. So they took some number, subtracted 13, and they got negative 8. So we're going to undo it, and I'm going to rewrite it here. Oh, it's not an m, it's an n, sorry. m minus 13 equals negative 8. Okay? Well, they subtracted 13, so guess what? We're going to add 13. So we will add 13 to both sides. The 13s go away. You're left with n equals. Now, we've got the math over here, 13 minus 8. Well, let's see, 8. 13, that's 5, if we subtract those two, because it's a negative and a positive. The 13 had the larger sign, and it was a bigger number, and it had a positive, so the answer is going to be a positive 5. Okay? All right. Now, what do we do when there's a fraction? Well, it really isn't much different, except that we have to deal with a fraction. So we have a problem right here, and it has 1/2 plus p equals 1 3/4. It's not any different. It's a plus, so to get rid of it or undo it, we have to, subtract. So we'll subtract 1/2 from this side, and we'll subtract 1/2 from this side. This 1/2 goes away, okay? And we're left with p equals 1 3/4 minus 1/2. Now, probably the easiest way to do this is to get a common denominator. I would think that would work the best. And this has already got 1 3/4. It's got 4 as a denominator. So I think it would be pretty easy to make 1/2 into 4. So multiply this times 2 and this times 2. And we end up with 3 minus 2 over 4. And 3 minus 2 is 1 over 4. Okay, and all we have to do is add the 1. And it almost looks like I have a, there we go. I didn't want to have a negative in there. And that would be the answer. P would equal 1 1/4. So it really isn't any different. Now, these next two problems will go really very fast because we are going to, they are multiplication problems with variables. And so what we'll have to do with the multiplication problem is to find the opposite of multiplication, which is, of course, division. So the first one, and this is something people all the time we have conversations about. What this really says is 12 times W equals 144. This is assumed anytime you put a number next to a variable that you are actually multiplying it. You really are multiplying. So the opposite of multiplication, as we've discussed before, is division. So instead of multiplying, we're going to undo the multiply. So we'll divide by 12. And what we do to one side, we must do to the other. So we'll divide that by 12. I've talked before about, I call it my well-chosen one. This becomes a well-chosen one here. 12 over 12. 1 times W equals W. And 144 divided by 12. Well, if you remember your perfect squares, 12 times 12 is 144. And if you can't remember that, you can go ahead and actually do the math down here. And 12 goes into 14 once. Okay, 12 goes into 24 twice. Okay, so your answer is W equals 12. Now over here, this one's very similar, and again, very easy. I'm not trying to give you hard problems here. I want to teach you the method to solve the problems. Okay, this one, again, we have the equivalent of 13 times B equals 26. So to be able to handle this problem, we have to be able to undo it. Okay, so we're going to undo it. We're going to take and divide by 13 to get rid of the 13 and leave B by itself. But what we do to one side, we must do to the other. So this becomes our well-chosen one, and we end up with B equal to 26 divided by 13, which 26 divided by 13, I think, is 2. At least it was the other day anyway. So B is equal to 2. These two problems are just like the other two I just did. So I'm not going to spend as much time on them. I'm going to quickly go through and work them so that you can see them. The one up on the left says 6x equals 36. Okay, remember, 6x means 6 times x. I'm going to divide this side by 6, and this side by 6 because you have to do it to both sides. This becomes my well-chosen 1. And x equals 36 divided by 6, which is, of course, 6. Over here on the right-hand side, okay, we have 4x equals 48. Again, that means 4 times x, so I will divide by 4, and I'll divide over here by 4. This becomes my well-chosen 1. I'm left with x is equal to 12, because 48 divided by 4. 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. Now, using multiplication to solve is implying that you start out with division. So what you have to look at is a lot of times when you have a situation where the problem's already a division problem, or if it's a fraction problem, then you're going to use division to solve it. On the left, we have a typical division type problem. We have 1/4 times w equals 2. But the problem we have with this is that to solve this problem, we are literally going to have to divide by 1/4. Okay? Now, dividing by fractions is kind of a pain. So, if you remember when we've discussed dividing by fractions, we just simply flipped them and multiplied. So, if you take 1/4 and you flip it, and we'll go ahead, I'm going to erase this. And we're going to use what's called, of course, and you know what this is, it's called the reciprocal. We're going to take 4 over 1, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so we're actually not dividing, we're multiplying by the reciprocal. We don't like to divide with fractions anyway, so. And then we have to get rid of the commons, and this is pretty easy. You got a 4 here, 4 here, 1 here, 1 here. Leaves you with just w equals 2. Okay, so we have 2 times 4, which is 8, over 1 times 1, which is 1, and that leaves w equal to 8. Over here, same procedure, okay? We are going to use the reciprocal of 2/3, which is, 3/2. So we're going to take 3 over 2 times 2 over 3, r equals 6 times 3 over 2. Okay? Well, again, we get rid of the commons. So 3 and 3 and 2 and 2. We're left with r equals 6 over 1 times 3 over 2. Now, the quickest way to do this is probably to eliminate. So we got a 2 here, that goes into itself once, 2 goes into 6 3 times. And we have 3 times 3, which is, of course, 9, over 1 times 1, which is 1, so r is equal to 9. And that's that. Now, this is something that wasn't in the textbook, but I do want to introduce you to it because we will be here not too long, and I want you to be able to tackle them and not be afraid of them. They're called two-step equations, and really what it means is you're combining addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division all into one equation. And you watch me solve this. It is so easy, and it goes so quickly, you'll just be totally amazed at how fast it goes. So we're going to start out. Okay, we have a problem here. It says, what is the value of x when 2x plus 10 equals 30? Now, when you're trying to solve these kind of problems, my suggestion is that you start with addition or subtraction first. Okay, start with addition or subtraction first. Don't just jump into multiplication, or you'll get confused. Okay, so let's just look at this. This is 2x plus 10 equals 30. Well, before when we looked at these kind of problems, if it said plus something, we said, we've got to undo this. So we're going to subtract 10, and then we have to subtract 10 over here. Now, this 10 on the left-hand side it goes away. It's gone. So now we have 2x equal 30 minus 10, which is 20. Now, that wasn't too bad, was it? Really? And now we're to a multiplication problem, which before we multiplied, we thought, the difference, let's see, multiplication, oh yeah, division. So we will divide by 2. This becomes our well-chosen one. Divide by 2, and x equals 10. So remember, the first thing we do when we're looking at a two-step problem, if there's addition or subtraction, we're going to do that first. And then, once we've done an addition or subtraction, then we're going to do our multiplication or division. Okay? So let's just practice on a couple of quick two-step problems. The first one we're looking at on the left-hand side, we have 3x minus 12 equals 18. We're going to look at the addition or the subtraction first, so we're going to look right here. We have a minus 12. So if we have a minus 12, the opposite is plus 12. So we'll add 12 here, and we'll add 12 here. This goes away, and we're left with 3x equals, okay, 18 plus 12, I believe that is 30. Now that we've done the addition and we have 3x equal 30, now we can do our division and finish the problem. And that means that we can divide by 3, and we'll divide by 3 over here. This becomes our well-chosen one. So we end up with x equals 30 divided by 3, which is, of course, 10. Now, the problem on the right really isn't any different. Okay, it's really not any different. We have 20r minus 15 equals 5. Well, it's a minus 15. That's what we're going to work with first because it's a plus or minus. We have a minus 15, so we better add 15 because that's the opposite, and we'll add 15 over here. Okay? And when we do that, this goes away. We're left with 20r equals 15 plus 5, which today is 20. Divide both sides by 20, because that's what we have to do next to get that 20 out of there. That becomes our well-chosen one, and our answer is r equals 1. That wasn't too tough. One last problem. And this one's really easy, but I just kind of want to remind you of this. Okay, it's written as 1/2 n equals 6, which you know what to do with this, but I just want to remind you that sometimes we'll have problems like this. Okay, this is 1/2 n equals 6. We still have to use the reciprocal of 1/2. And the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. So we're actually multiplying 2 over 1 times 1 over 2, n, and then we would go over here and take 6 times 2 over 1. Well, these 2 and these 2 cancel out, so we're left with n equals 6 times 2, which is, of course, 12. Now, anytime you can go back and check yourself on these problems, and it's very easy. You substitute in whatever your value was for n back into the original equation. So in this case, for instance, this problem, we can do this. Okay, we can take 1/2 times 12, because that's what we got for n, equals 6. Well, 1/2 of 12 is 6. So 6 does equal 6, so we know that we are right. And that's working with equations with variables. And you'll be getting a worksheet that I want you to work on. And it does have a lot of different problems that you can do. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. And you have a great day. Talk to you later.